And the time is now 7 o'clock. Please join us from students from Lewisville High School. They will be doing the pledge in American Sign Language and also be saying it as well. So thank you so much. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, please don't leave. We want to recognize you. Please come back. Okay, we'd like to recognize Junior Cassie Mosley and Kaylee Mitchell. And are their parents here?
One.
Yay. Thank you so much.
That's your teacher.
And your teacher's here too? Where's your teacher?
Right.
Okay. Thank you for joining us tonight from Lewisville High School. Well, welcome everyone. The meetings of the board are open to the public but are not meetings of the public. The Lewisville ISD Board of Trustees meets monthly in a regular meeting to receive reports from staff and take action on recommendations from the superintendent. The board receives the agenda and all supporting documentation 10 days in advance of regular meetings, which allows us to ask and receive questions of many of our questions in advance of the regular meeting. This change in protocol means lengthy discussion or a litany of questions on every agenda item is often not necessary, and as a board, we should have appropriate knowledge and preparation for responses regarding the content of our meeting tonight. So, would someone like to make a motion regarding consideration of personal items discussed in closed session?
I move that all personnel recommendations be approved as presented by administration.
Thank you. That's a motion by Ms. Prosnick. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Hassett. All in favor? 7-0, motion carries. Okay, we have recognitions tonight with Student Spotlight, Chief Amanda Officer Brim.
Character.org, a nonprofit organization that validates character initiatives in schools and communities around the world, recently designated 73 schools across the nation as 2018 National Schools and Districts of Character. Lewisville ISD is proud to share not only one, but two schools, as Flower Mound and McAuliffe Elementaries were named 2018 National Schools of Character. Each year, Character.org and its state affiliates certify schools and districts that demonstrate a dedicated focus on character development with a positive impact on academic achievement, student behavior, school climate, and their communities. Through an in-depth and rigorous evaluation process, National Schools of Characters were found to be exemplary role models in character development by providing students with opportunities for moral action, fostering shared leaderships, while engaging families and communities as partners in the character building effort. Character.org will honor the designated schools at its 25th National Forum on Character to be held later this year in Washington, D.C. Congratulations, McAuliffe and Flower Mound Elementaries. Lewisville ISD values your hard work and dedication to educating the whole child.
Too tall for this thing. I would like to introduce Gail Nuri, principal of Flower Mound Elementary. We're very proud of you guys. If you want to come introduce your folks, and I have to say both of my children attended Flower Mound Elementary as well.
This is Nathan Cisnero and Sam Lamb. These are two of our student council representatives. They were the ones who took the site visit people around the campus. And then I also have with me my cohort team that worked so hard on the School of Character application process and made sure that we really do walk the talk.
So parents of these Flower Mound elementary students, would you please stand and be recognized? Parents, thank you so much. Come on up. Hey, how are y'all doing? Hey,
Good evening. I'm Lori Litchfield, Assistant Chief of Schools for Elementary, and I have the privilege of introducing McAuliffe Elementary and Jennifer Mattingly, Principal.
I'm not going to introduce everybody, but this is, it's kind of late in the school year, so I just threw it out to any of the teachers that wanted to come, and a few of the kids decided they should join us. So we kind of like to go big, so I thought this was taming it down a lot. But we're super excited and honored to receive the award. I do want to recognize Whitney Agee. Wave to everyone. Whitney was our writer for the application and followed it through from top to bottom, and is an amazing part of our staff. And to all of our staff members and students who we hope every day exemplifies what it is to be a McAuliffe Highlander. We make good choices. If you're a parent of a McAuliffe Highlander, if you please stand where we can recognize you also. I think we brought them all on the bus out front.
Okay.
Lewisville ISD is proud to share that Liberty Elementary School 5th grader Abijay Kadali represented his community and district on the national stage of the Scripps National Spelling Bee in Oxon Hill, Maryland, and finished in 3rd place out of a record-breaking 515 spellers. Abijay was one of 5 Dallas area students who advanced to the finals and was the youngest of the 16 finalists. This was Abijay's first trip to the national competition. His successful bee path this school year included earning champion or co-champion status at the Liberty, Flower Mound, Lewisville ISD, and Denton County competitions. Abijay was also named co-champion at the Dallas Regional Spelling Bee, which was held at the Bush Institute at SMU. His Liberty teachers include Kim Martich, Arian Morton, and Julie Winker. What an accomplishment, Abijay. LISD is very proud of you.
Good evening. I am Tim Greenwell, the very blessed principal of Liberty Elementary School, and I'd like to welcome his teachers, Kim Martich and Julie Winkler, to join us on the stage. Pride is a great word to describe this young man, but also citizenship, intelligence, kindness, and just an all-around wonderful young person. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a prime example of the great things that are going on in LISD. And we could not be more proud of him and his achievements and his accomplishments, which speak for themselves. And I'd like to say to Abijay and his family that we're very appreciative. He blew up my social media account last week. And those of you who know me, I'm on social media a lot, and never before has there been such an overwhelming response of cheering him on and supporting him and really just rooting for LISD and Liberty and him. So thank you very much to you. Thank you to these ladies who traveled and were with him all the way through every spelling bee, including last week the National Spelling Bee, and their special shirts just for him. And of course, all his characteristics and all his success would not be possible without his supportive family. His parents are here with us tonight. We'd love for you to stand and be recognized and help and have you join us in our celebration of this fine young man. Thank you.
Wait. Okay, I've been wanting to know, what's the hardest word that you've ever had to spell?
I don't remember any of them.
Okay, he's honest too, so.
Lewisville ISD's Destination Imagination students recently brought home some amazing state and global competition achievements. Destination Imagination is an international project-based program that reaches 21st century skills of teamwork, creativity, critical thinking, and problem-solving techniques. The following DI teams were recognized for excellence in the recent Texas DI affiliated state tournament and DI Global Finals competition. The Arbor Creek Middle School team won first place at state in the Drop Zone Engineering Challenge, which qualified them for Globals, where they competed against 93 other teams from around the world and dominated, winning first place. To date, only 2 LISD teams have ever claimed first place at Globals. The Homestead Castle Hills Elementary School team won first place at state in the Drop Zone Engineering Challenge, qualifying for Globals, where they competed against 86 teams and won third place. The McCamey and Shadow Ridge Middle School teams won second place in the Maze Craze Technical Challenge and qualified for Globals, where they placed 16th. And the Hebron High School team won third place in the Change of Tune Fine Arts Challenge and qualified for Globals, where they finished in 4th. Congratulations to these amazing DI teams. Your creativity and ability to conquer challenging competition is truly inspiring.
Okay, so I'm going to introduce each of these teams one by one. The first team is Homestead Elementary. The team managers are Vipla and Manoj Srivastava. And the team members are Justin Beng, Liam Moore, Keshav Nair, Ishan Srivastava, and Vishwa Thiravengadam. I apologize. Okay, so do we want to have their parents or
Sure,
parents of the Homestead team? If you're here, would you like to stand up? Okay, the next team is the Arbor Creek Middle School team, and the team managers are Natalia Garcia and Manoj Srivastava. Is Natalia here? Okay, and the team members are Haley Butker, Landry Dale, Anna Garcia, Mia Greer, Hannah Harness, and Isha Srivastava. And if they're And if their parents would like to stand up, I know there are a bunch of them here. Okay, the next team is McCamey Middle School. The team managers are Amanda and Stan Solari. And the team members are Nathan Cho, Nathan Illerbrun, Athmika Kashyap, Paolo Redding, Jacoby Solari, and Joseph Yoon, and Eddie Yu. That's actually a combined McCamey Middle School Shadow Ridge team. And parents, would you like to stand up? Do we have any? And then the last team that we have is from Hebron High School. The team manager's name is Natalia Garcia. And she is great. She is incredible. And the students are Sophia Garcia, Alexis Getty, Caleb Getty, Christopher Powers, and not able to make it tonight are Liam Bell and Maya Mohan. And just parents, would you like to stand up? Do we have any parents here? Yes, great. And so mark your calendars for February 23rd. Our tournament will be at Marcus High School. Everybody's welcome.
The Marcus High School track team represented their community well at the UIL 2018 Track and Field State Meet. The girls team made history, placing the highest in school history with a second-place finish and a team score of 42 points. With only 7 girls, 4 events, and a tremendous effort by the athletes and coaches, the girls team reached a Marcus High School landmark. In pole vault, Mackenzie Hayward placed first as a freshman, second as a sophomore, and returned this year to earn first place again and is the girls 6A state champion, clearing 13 feet and 6 inches with no misses. Quinn Owen returned as the 2017 state champion in the 1600-meter run and ran her last race as a Marcus athlete, claiming another state championship title. The girls 4x100 relay team, consisting of Allison Warner, Taryn Hankins, Zahora Jackson, and Nicole Umi Izoki, shattered their school record and placed second in the state. L'Oreal Daniel competed well in the triple jump, battling from start to finish and claiming third in the state of Texas. Congratulations to all of these hardworking and talented student athletes.
I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Andy Reinberg. I'm the assistant track coach at Marcus High School. Our head coach, Steve Telanius, just recently had hip surgery, so he could not make it tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our young ladies here. This is Allison Warren and Taryn Hankins. They were on our 4x1. The girls who are not present tonight is Zora Jackson and Nicole Umi Izioki, and she's actually committed to go run in Oklahoma this next fall. So we have Mackenzie Hayward, again, competing and getting first place in the pole vault. Quinn Owen, who is going off to run at Arkansas University for a full ride next fall, ran the 1600, and then L'Oreal Daniel, who competed in triple jump and got third this year. So we're very proud of them. And if our parents could stand up and be recognized as well for our athletes.
The Flower Mound High School Technology Club has completed the 2017-2018 academic year with many accolades and accomplishments. Club sponsor Mr. Ralph Shadowlag continues to lead the Tech Club to new heights via its 3 unique programs, TSA, Vex Robotics, and FIRST Robotics, which encompass concepts such as designing, building, engineering, and executing real-world technology tasks. The Flower Mound Technology Club has 90 student members, with 50 participating in TSA, 60 participating in Vex Robotics, and 32 participating in FIRST Robotics. This year, each program has achieved success at the highest level. 2 Vex Robotics teams attended the Vex World Championships in Louisville, Kentucky. The FIRST Robotics team attended the FIRST World Championship in Houston, Texas. Finally, 10 students will attend the TSA National Conference this summer in Atlanta, Georgia. These results speak directly to the dedication and commitment of FMHS students, their parent mentors, and Mr. Shadowlag. Vex Robotics comprised 7 teams this year from FMHS, which received numerous awards throughout the competition season. Design Awards, Judges Awards, Excellence Awards, Creative Awards, and Skill Champions. 3 teams placed first in tournaments, and 2 teams received the top honor of attending the Vex World Championship, Team 2019B and Team 2019F. In addition, another honor was bestowed upon an FMHS Tech Club. Parent Brian McGee was awarded the Mentor of the Year at the Vex World Championship, a great honor for all of his efforts with Team 2019F. Congratulations, FMHS Technology Club students. Thank you for all your hard work, determination to instill the love of robotics and technology in your community.
First want to introduce left to right to left, or be your left to right, Mrs. Leo. It's our principal. Without her, snuck up on me. Without her, none of this could happen. Adam Yoke, Kathy Tang, Zal Bahalawali, Caitlin Drew, Mrs. Clymer, Mrs. Kesh Bahalawali. All these things which you just got through seeing are a little distorted because for the simple reason that to order for us to get to where we are, the first thing we have to do is get through our state. And to get through our state, some of the top robots in the world happen to be here in Texas. So for us to get the Creative Award, we had to knock off the #1 team in the world to get there. But they came around a little bit later at the end and did persist on going back to World Championships. That's how we got the Creative Award. And the other ones are to be for their own. We have one team that was rated as high as number 1 in the state. It was #1 in the world for a while. Then we had another team, Phillips. That was Phillips' team. We had another team that was rated 7th in the world. We had another team that is rated now and rated 1st in the world. That's a student that goes to Farmont High School and broke the world's record in VEX skills competition. But that's just to be said how tough our league, our state is that we have to get by some of the world's finest just to get in the door. And therefore, I'm grateful. Thank you.
Are your parents here?
They're up here. There are some parents here.
So parents, other parents of this group, if you please stand and be recognized.
We're real shy.
All right.
Thank you.
Lewisville High School students Bradley Sykes and Kennedy Grays both qualified for the Business Professionals of America National Conference thanks to their remarkable Texas Business Professionals of America Conference accomplishments. Kennedy claimed second place in extemporaneous speech at state and was also called to the stage at the national conference for winning fourth place. And Bradley won third place in personal financial management. The mission of the Business Professionals of America is to contribute to the preparation of global professionals through the advancement of leadership, citizenship, academic, and technological skills. Congratulations, Kennedy and Bradley. Way to represent your school and the district at the state and national levels.
I am Marshan Aragon, the advisor for Business Professionals of America at Lewisville High School. And as shown, Bradley Sykes and Kennedy Grays both advanced to the national competition. So they went through regional, got through state, and then Kennedy was fourth place in the nation for extemporaneous speech.
Hebron High School junior Jenny Park recently claimed third place in the 6A Girls Division at the UIL 2018 Golf State Tournament, which was held at Legacy Hills Golf Club in Georgetown, Texas. This tournament marked Jenny's third straight state appearance and second bronze medal. She entered the final round of the tournament tied for 9th place, shooting an even par 72. Jeannie rallied on the second and last day of the tournament, making 6 birdies for a 4-under par 68, which led to a third-place finish and a 2-day total score of 140. Jenny, who has committed to play golf at TCU, advanced to the state tournament after placing third in regionals. Congratulations on your impressive finish, Jenny.
I'm Terry Campbell. I get the privilege of watching Jenny play, being her chaperone, watching her caddy, whatever I need to do to make sure her successes are there. The good thing about it is I have her one more year before she goes to be a Horned Frog at TCU. Jenny Park. She is the daughter of Min and Jack Park. They're not here tonight.
This year, more than 350,000 works of art and writing were submitted in the Scholastic Art and Writing Contest, which is an awards program presented by the Alliance of Young Artists and Writers, whose mission is to identify students with exceptional artistic and literary talent. With less than 1% of submissions being recognized at the national level, Lewisville ISD is happy to share Flower Mound High School student artist won 8 Gold Key and 11 Silver Key awards. Also, congratulations to FMHS sophomore Sam Skinner, who won the Bailey Pottery Tools Student Excellence Award in the National K-12 Ceramic Exhibition, which is an annual juried competition designed to showcase some of the best ceramic artists made in the country. And junior Lauren Foster was named the grand prize winner in the 26th Congressional District of Texas High School Art Competition. As the grand prize winner, Laura's artwork will be framed and sent to Washington, D.C. for display in the United States Capitol building for an entire year. As the winner, she received a $125 gift card from Point Bank, a $5,000 scholarship from Savannah College of Art and Design, and 2 Southwest round-trip tickets to D.C. to join Congressman Michael Burgess at the national reception for all the Congressional Art Competition grand prize winners. Congratulations, students. Lewisville ISD is proud of you and your school's exceptional fine arts programs.
I'm Marty Crook. I'm one of the art teachers there at Flower Mound High School. I'm going to introduce you to him really quick. This is Sam Skinner. I'm going to start with him. He was one of our K-12 national winners, and he is a senior, not a sophomore. And so I saw his face jolt a little bit there. So, he was our K-12 national winner. Then we have Austin Todd there. He's one of our Scholastic Gold Key winners. We have Michelle Fang. She was also a Gold Key winner. June Kwan, Gold Key winner. Who's next? Kenzie Abear, also a Gold Key winner. And we have Lauren Foster. She was our congressional winner. Really great. Lauren Frazier next to her. Who's next? Leah Geisler is next. And Abby Russell on the end. So congratulations, you guys. And Miss Lale. First, let's recognize the other art teachers from Flower Mound. We have Shelley Harper back there, Jason Hyde, and then Suzanne McLeod. And then if there are any parents, go ahead and stand up. We'll give you a round of applause, too.
The Flower Mound High School boys water polo team recently dominated in the water by winning their first state championship title of the Texas Interscholastic Swim Coaches Association's 2018 State Water Polo Tournament, held at the Lee and Joe Jamal Texas Swimming Center at the University of Texas at Austin. This is the team's highest accomplishment and 4th time to qualify and place in the top 3 at state. Some of the players also swam away with the following accomplishments. Senior Andrew Pope finished 2nd team All-State. Junior Max Wade named Honorable Mention All-American Team and 1st team All-State. Junior Rylan Lance named 3rd place All-American Team and 1st team All-State. Sophomore Brady Andrews finished Honorable Mention All-State. Sophomore Kyle Skinner finished Honorable Mention All-State. This is the second sport in which Lance and Andrews qualified for state. Nicely done, Jaguars. LISD is proud of you.
Thank you very much, board and members of the. I'd like to introduce Coach Goddard. My name is Coach Snow. Coach Goddard is our young men's coach, and he'll introduce the young men.
This is Brady Andrews, Max Wade, Jonah Dix, Alex Lockhart, Eric McCoon, Shreyas Ralhan, Bradley Lockhart, J.D. Morris, Rylan Lance, Kyle Skinner, Owen Martin. Owen's a senior that will be playing at McKendree next year. David Moulton, Sam Skinner, and Andrew Pope, and they're both going to be playing for Austin College next year. And Brett Skinner is another senior who's going to play with them at Austin College who wasn't able to make it tonight. But thank you guys for having us. If any parents are here, if you guys could stand up and we can recognize you guys too.
Congratulations to all of our students. You can see we have some great, fine young men and women. So let's give them all another round of applause. Persons desiring to address the Board of Trustees must fill out a speaker's card prior to the meeting. No presentation shall exceed 3 minutes. The board cannot deliberate on any subject that is not included in the agenda. We actually have 2 speakers tonight. So Nick Weisner.
Good evening. The School and Fire Safety Arm Action Plan was published on May 30th this year as a result of the 3-day roundtable conducted by the governor. The common themes of the Governor Abbott's meeting: making schools safer, identifying threats in advance and resolving them, improving mental health assessments and services. Governor Abbott's plan, 40 plus pages, provides about 3 dozen strategies that can be implemented by Texas schools, law enforcement, and healthcare providers before the next year begins. Through federal funding, strategies, and grants by the Criminal Justice Division in the Office of the Governor, Texas already has access to nearly $70 million funds that could help LISD implement these strategies. As additional federal programs release recently appropriated funds from the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2018, Texas can reasonably expect to successfully compete for additional $40 million. Additional funds and strategies can be offered by the legislator. It appears that May 21st email, which I want to note was sent before the start of the 3-day roundtable by the board, by the superintendent, addressed some of the similarities from Governor Abbott's 3-day roundtable action plan. For example, the investment of 15 new positions focused on the well-being of all students. In addition, the same email addresses a plan to staff each of our middle schools with a full-time SRO, like they do have the high school campuses. So the question I have for you is, what about the elementary school's physical safety? We have the middle school, and we have the middle school, and we have the high schools. What about the additional external campuses like Dale Jackson, Career Center East, the soon-to-be built Career Center West? Why are SOs not being identified and assigned to these facilities as well? Or will they be before the start of next school year? According to Governor Abbott's plan, the Texas Education Agency, TEA, should be issuing a letter to the school administrators no later than June 8th of this year, encouraging them to identify personnel to participate in school marshal program. Utilizing fund, again from the Governor's Criminal Justice Division, all costs of the training from June to August of 2018 will be paid to help reduce the threat of active shooters in the 2018-19 school year. Arming teachers and knowing who is armed, that is what we need, stated a Santa Fe senior who participated in the roundtable. Her sentiment is shared by many students and parents. When is the board going to stop living up to the security and safety of the past? The school that we attended is not what the students of today attend. Sadly, the new norm for the protection does include school marshals, a single point of entry, metal detectors, with the social and emotional decline of some students and community members.
Mr. Weisner, your 3 minutes. You want to make your finishing points? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would like to finish this paper because it's one paper.
Go ahead.
I'm almost there. The simple truth, if the Board of Trustees is willing to make the necessary safety changes, then LISD can remain the district of real innovation and limitless opportunities. If one school marshal, one SRO stops an active shooter, or a metal detector helps officials confiscate even one weapon from an individual intending to do harm, many would agree the investment is worth it. I know several for which I'm speaking this evening. On When is the Board of Trustees? I'll go to the end since you're not going to let me finish it. When is the Board of Trustees going to come to unanimous consensus about becoming even more proactive about student, staff, and safety, and stop offering up our schools as soft targets? Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Weisner. Chris Cortopassi, or I'm so sorry. Correct me, please. Okay. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for your time tonight, and thank you for the opportunity to speak before you. My name is Chris Cortopassi, and I have two children in the Lewisville Independent School District. I have a daughter who will be a senior at Marcus next year, and I have a son who will be a second grader at Timber Creek Elementary. I come before you as a concerned parent and also as a volunteer with the organization Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. I want to first thank you for having on your agenda tonight addressing the issue of more school resource officers, as well as addressing the issue of the low attendance day that occurred at Marcus High School right after the Parkland shooting happened. I am here tonight because there has been a lot of talk about arming Texas teachers and staff, and I want to make it clear that members of this community do not want that to happen here. In response to the school shooting in Santa Fe, Governor Abbott released his school and firearm safety action plan for Texas school districts, including the expansion of the school marshal plan, which allows teachers or other staff to carry guns inside schools. For the safety of our students and our educators, we urge LISD to not adopt the school marshal plan. Arming civilians is not an effective way to stop active shooters. Law enforcement officers are extensively trained to handle the chaos and the dynamics of an active shooter situation. Civilians are not. Research indicates that the presence of a gun makes children less safe. If teachers and other employees carry more guns into schools, we can expect tragic accidents. In March, a Northern California teacher and reserve police officer accidentally fired a gun inside a classroom, injuring at least one student. Other recent reports include school employees accidentally leaving guns unattended in bathrooms where they were found by students and parents. Experts in education and law enforcement agree that more guns in schools can increase volatility and risk. The American Federation of Teachers, the National Education Association, and the Major Cities Chief Association have expressed opposition to arming teachers. If lawmakers want to prevent school shootings, they must adopt proactive, common-sense solutions to prevent people with dangerous histories from obtaining the guns in the first place. One way we can save lives is to support red flag laws, which Governor Abbott also recommends in his plan. Red flag laws allow loved ones and law enforcement to petition a court to have a person's access to guns temporarily restricted. A red flag law would empower them to intervene before a shooter arrives at the schoolhouse. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Now we will move on to our public hearing on Optimal Flexible School Day Program. Dr. Coburn.
Thank you, Mrs. Cox, members of the board. Part of the requirements for submitting an application under 29.0822 of the Texas Education Code is a public hearing on, for what us is Knight High School. And at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Todd to come up, and I'm going to give you this clicker too, Mr. Todd. And I'll just preface this by saying if you go to Knight High School graduation, which we had Saturday morning, it says a lot about some great things that Mr. Todd and the team are doing there. So I'll let you take over.
Thank you very much. I am here along with Lewisville Learning Center Principal Angie Deaton, and want to thank you for the continued support that you guys have given since the inception in 2008. As far as the mission the Knight High School mission is provide flexible school hours and additional support interventions to 9th through 12th grade Lewisville ISD students via the evening program at the Lewisville Learning Center to increase several things: successful course completion, high school graduation, transition to post-secondary education, and or career choice. One of the components that we have is that students from 9th to 12th grade, that's ages 16 to 23, they have to meet the criteria of at-risk and be eligible to participate, including our dropouts. This is eligible for a prorated weighted average daily attendance funding that's based on minutes of attendance of the at-risk students. We offer core and elective courses. Students must still take and pass all the required state exams in order to graduate. We utilize case management approach, including outreach, social service, community referrals to increase student academic success and graduation. As far as the numbers this past year, the hours that we operate are Monday through Thursday, 4:10 to 8:50, and our staff includes 4 teachers, 1 counselor, 1 office assistant, 1 nurse that's part-time, 1 administrator, myself, that's shared with the day program, 1 ESL teacher that's shared with the day program. And our students, we had 26 dropouts, 7 completers, 285 part-time students, and these are students that we are able to get from the different high school campuses, and this is an increase from last year. The other aspect that's an increase from last year is the 41 graduates that we had this year. This is the largest that we've ever had in night school. And next year we have 13 students coming back to finish their courses, and I want to thank you. I want to thank you on behalf of all of our students that have found themselves in situations that were not their own doing and some that were their own doing. And thank you for your support and any questions. And if they're hard, Dr. Coburn is answering them.
Anyone have any questions? Mr. Miller?
I don't have any questions, but I would like to comment on the program, and I think this is another area where, as Ms. Sheffield said when she was here last, the closer you get to public education, the better it looks. This is something that we provide at very little. These kids have very few options, and so I know Dr. Rogers pioneered this 9 years ago. So thank you. It was an emotional ceremony. I think even for the big cheese. But it was emotional for us, too, to see kids talk about redemption and opportunity. Right. And I'm not trying to be schmaltzy. I think this is an important thing for us to put an exclamation mark on in what we do. And 41 graduates out of, 3,000 this year. This is still a pretty big number as it relates to the kids that would have had no other option. So thank you guys for keeping it going. Thanks for doing a great job. It was a great ceremony Saturday. And it was great to see almost all the board and staff there to show the kids how important it was to them that we were there observing what they did. So,
Ms. Prosnick?
I would just ask if you could send this PowerPoint presentation to the board so that we could have it for the numbers.
I sure will.
I concur with Mr. Miller's comments. We gave 41 kids an opportunity to be a better citizen of their communities, and I think that's a very, very good thing.
Anyone else? Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, so this is a public hearing on Optimal Flexible School Day Program is open. If there's any persons present who would like to speak on this topic, please come forward at this time. Okay. There's no additional speakers. I declare this public hearing closed. We will now move on to information items. Hedrick Targeted Improvement Plan, Dr. Rapp.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Rogers, thank you so much. At this time, this is an information-only item about the Hedrick Targeted Improvement Plan. We are required to draft a plan because of the improvement required status year 1 that Hedrick Elementary is in. I'm very proud of the work that's been done over this last school year. through collaboration with learning and teaching and the campus leadership and the growth that we've seen in student literacy scores that you all saw in the information item as well. I know that Ms. Kuckler and Mr. Carver and Ms. Austin are here, and I just want to say thank you to them and to Ms. Godby, because this has really been a collaborative effort to draft the plan that you had before you that's focused on literacy, on reading and writing, and continues the work that we started with the Targeted Elements plan that was brought to you in the fall. At this time, we don't plan on having to bring this plan back. But if for some reason we go into year 2 improvement required, then the plan comes back to you for approval later in the fall. And I'd be happy to take any questions at this time about the plan.
Thank you, Dr. Rapp. Does anyone have any questions? Ms. Hassett?
If we have to get more updates, when will the board be provided more information throughout the year, more scheduled information about how the year is going and how the board can make sure that we're committing the resources needed for the school is one of my questions. And then second, I know Dr. Rogers loves when we go to conferences, and I went to one today and just heard a great idea. Do we ever have schools with teachers that mentor teachers outside of the school? So a rock star teacher in 3rd grade somewhere with another school instead of just within the school. Maybe thinking of a different way to address issues within a school. And I think both campuses would greatly gather information from such a partnership.
Sure. So we have so many different opportunities for our schools to learn from one another. One of the ways that happens is through the learning facilitators that we have in learning and teaching, who actually are what I call the glue that connects the good ideas between schools that happens. And the learning facilitators, as they visit schools, they can talk with Ms. Kuckler or any of the assistant principals in any school and say, I saw a great teacher over here who's working on what we're working on. And actually they can go walk another classroom with someone by their side. So that way they're able to learn and debrief together, and it's not just an isolated experience. I think that's the benefit, too, of the instructional coaches that we have the opportunity to have specifically at Central and Hedrick as well. Not only do they get to partner closely with learning and teaching and the learning facilitators, but they're the glue that connects the good ideas between classrooms that are going on. And I think that's the power of why teachers sharing their good ideas together is so important. As far as the targeted improvement plan process, what happens is if we have to put that plan into place, then we're obligated to provide more frequent reports of progress, not only to the TEA, but to you all as well. With the targeted elements plan in the fall, TEA changed their whole process on improvement required this school year. And so in the past, we've had a targeted improvement plan in year 1. So this is very different that we haven't had that. With the targeted elements plan, we've really implemented the iStation check-ins, and we, of course, can provide that data that we're looking at any time as frequent as possible. But we're absolutely happy with the improvement plan to provide progress along the way, too.
Any other questions? I just want to personally thank the staff at Hedrick and the leadership team for the successes that we're seeing. So thank you very much. Okay, next we have report on cooperative interlocal purchasing agreement fees and disposition of those fees. Mr. Ball.
Thank you, Ms. Cox, Dr. Rogers, and members of the board. This is a compliance requirement. The Texas Education Code requires that annually the district provide a report to the board on the utilization of the cooperatives, and that's what you have before you. Shows the fees that vendors have paid to the cooperatives, that the district has paid, and rebates that have come back to the district. And it goes without saying that these cooperatives really are put in place to provide efficiency for districts across the state to operate their procurement operations really with fewer staff. It enables us to pool the resources with other organizations to develop the specifications, to utilize the buying power that's associated with larger purchases. So these really help our folks a lot in our procurement area, and certainly Mr. Martin's here. Be happy to answer any questions you might have about this area. But this is the report that's required by the Texas Education Code.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Procurement process update on audio-visual refresh project. Mr. Colbeck?
Thank you, Madam President. Members of the board, Dr. Rogers. This is related to a previous agenda item back in January. The board took action on approving a job order contract method for the construction delivery method for the audiovisual project. What we were trying to accomplish essentially was put in data projectors, audiovisual kits, and also in some cases electrical. We've been working with the purchasing department to complete that competitive sealed proposal process. After reviewing the responses, the technology department's recommendation was to reject the responses and basically start over with another competitive sealed proposal process with the hope of receiving better pricing. The pricing was more than what we were anticipating. Also, I think kind of redefining the scope, and I've said before, one of the purposes of doing the JOC method was to provide flexibility for the technology department to try to extend those dollars and try to really get the most mileage out of the amount that's budgeted through the 2017 bond project. So with that, our plan is to bring the results of that forward in August. But in the meantime, there's another agenda item under the action section of this agenda where we're going to be requesting the board to take action on using a cooperative contracts so that we can purchase the projectors so that the technology department can install the year one projectors during the summer months. So that'll be an actionable item later in the agenda. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Colbeck. Anyone have any questions? Okay, you're up again on district dashboard solutions.
Right. We have a few technology-related items. This is an information item, again, and I know as the board recognizes, we've been doing a lot of work in the area of cybersecurity, and specifically regarding the Cisco security update. And that update has really focused on equipment and software and solutions that are part of the 2017 bond project. During the process of presenting those topics, and also even during our board technology committee meetings when we had the committee structure, we had talked about the need to do other cybersecurity work outside of the bond project that's really operational. So in what we're talking about specifically are two areas. One is managed security services, and what that is just like we have a data or a network operations center, there are IT cybersecurity firms that have security operations centers, and they specialize in cybersecurity. And what they do is they take information from the equipment that we're putting in through the Cisco security upgrade, and they look at that and look at vulnerabilities. They look at ways to address incidences and be more responsive. And we do have money budgeted in the 2017-2018 budget for that. And we've not brought this forward up until this point because it doesn't make sense to do the integration until the hardware and software elements are in place. The other component that we're looking to do, if you recall in the Cisco security portfolio, there was one product that was not included in there, and that was called CloudLock. And CloudLock is, we see it as it's operational, it's subscription only. And what it does is it provides security for data and services that you have in the cloud. So, for example, Office 365 or Google Apps, both of which the district uses. Those are in the cloud, and it allows us to have some visibility and also set some governance around those solutions. So our plan is to work with the purchasing department to procure the products and services for that. And our plan is to bring this topic back as a discussion item at the August board work session, and our hope is that we will be in position to bring an action item during the August board meeting. So any questions regarding this topic?
Thank you, Mr. Colbeck. Any questions? Okay, I think you're up again.
All right.
Non-instructional facilities wireless system refresh. District. Oh, district dashboard solution. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Madam President. District dashboard. So as I'm sure the board is aware, we have our district and superintendent goals. And part of our goals, one of the actionable areas in the goals to develop dashboarding tools that would allow us to monitor student learning and readiness indicators. And if you recall, those are discerned by elementary, middle, and high school levels. In order to really execute that, the technology department's going to need some help. And we've talked about this, again, when we've had the committee structure with the board dashboard committee. But essentially what we need to do is we need to look at this in a couple different ways. We need to either look at procuring some sort of product that's purpose-built for K-12 schools in the area of business intelligence and dashboarding. The other option is, and I know for especially those that were on the board dashboard committee, we've been doing some development in some open source tools where we could potentially use those tools, but we're going to need some services to do that. So what we're doing right now is we're basically developing a scope, and we're trying to define the scope specific to the board and superintendent goals. And what I mean by that is what is the goal, where is the data, what format it is it in, and how do we want it represented from a visualization or dashboard perspective. We are providing that scope to the purchasing department. The purchasing department will work on developing a procurement for the products and services. Our plan on this is to bring this back as a discussion item, again, as in August, and possibly by August, which would be very aggressive timeline-wise, more likely September, we would bring something forward as actionable, in which we'd bring a solution where we would start developing around the board and superintendent goals. Also, just to clarify, we do have our board dashboard in Forecast 5. If you recall, that dashboarding tool it's after the fact. It's information that's sent to TEA through PEAM submission. This is really a tool that would have the potential to be used by campuses as well as teachers. So as we go through the review process, the idea is to be very strategic on who the audience is to use it, and if we develop in whatever that platform is, can it scale as our needs grow? So any questions regarding this topic?
Thank you, Mr. Colbeck. Any questions? Mr. Miller?
Yeah, so Brian, this is not intended to you, so I just want to be very respectful here. This is the 4th June that I've been on the board, and 3 of us were here in that first June, and every year we go to conferences, we see dashboards. Every year we talk about dashboards, and I know we've formalized it, but I cannot emphasize enough. I don't think we need to boil the ocean on this. I think we need to take action, and we've looked at what the board needs. I mean, Dr. Fitzhugh's in the audience. I mean, 4 years ago we talked about building pivot tables and using Excel to provide some increased visibility. And so here we are 4 years later talking about now defining requirements. And I think requirements of what campuses need to have visibility to student achievement is pretty well defined. I think what the board needs to do their job is pretty well defined in the administration. So I would just ask that we really focused on what we know today to be true. And there's a ton of technologies out there, as you know, for us to do this. We need to get this in production here in something that's usable, I think, before December of this year. And if we were first talking about it today, I wouldn't agree with that. But we've been talking about it for 4 years. So I would just encourage us all to figure out a way to get something in production. Because here's what's going to happen. We're going to go to SLI in 2 weeks, Summer Leadership Conference. And you know what we're going to see? Opportunity to see 2 or 3 districts who have dashboards on how to do these things. So there's an opportunity for us to, and you said, thankfully, purpose-built K through 12. I mean, somebody's got these things. We've seen board dashboards that, right? Let's look at what we can plagiarize and bring in so that we can get this thing up and running and start using it to the benefit of our campuses and the board.
Thank you.
Tessa?
I concur with what Mr. Miller said. I'm very anxious and very excited about having the dashboard. I know it is in Dr. Rogers' superintendent goals, but it also allows the board information it needs. Today's day and age, the board needs to be better involved in student achievement, so the board is also responsible for student achievement. So I'm very, very excited that we're going down this path. I hope it is quick. I know that there's a lot of different elements with trying to gather the correct data, because we already have Forecast 5, which is the STAR scores, and what I'm excited about with this is more than STAR. And with Dr. Rogers' goals, his is more than STAR. As a trustee, I don't want to be limited to STAR. I want to see more of what's going on. And the fact that we're incorporating what the board requested into further levels of administration and teachers is very exciting to me. So thank you very much for all the work that y'all have all done.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Non-instructional facilities wireless system refresh. Mr. Colbeck.
All right, thank you again. This is also connected to a previous item that's been on the agenda, and it's specific to our wireless refresh. As part of the 2017 bond program, one of the projects in there was to replace the district wireless. What the board has already taken action on was specific to our instructional campuses. And we were very intentional in doing that because we were going to try to leverage the federal E-rate program in that process. As you see in the board item, the term non-instructional facility is used a couple different times, and that's a term that the Schools and Libraries Division, which oversees the federal E-rate program, that's what they use. And that is not eligible for what they call Category 2 funding. So while we do have the E-rate piece in play, the overall project has been approved. We have a service substitution for some newer technology that's pending. So we are moving forward with the campus wireless upgrades. What we also need to do is address our administrative buildings, this building and the other campuses that we have. The wireless in those systems is just as old as anywhere else. So what we're looking to do is work with the purchasing department to procure the products and services to also include the wireless refresh in our non-instructional facilities. Current thinking on this is to bring a discussion item back during the board work session in August and be prepared to bring a recommendation item forward during the board meeting in August as well.
Thank you, Mr. Colbeck. Are there any questions? No? You get to take a break, Mr.
Thank you.
Colbeck. Okay. Demographic report, first quarter 2018. Dr. Coburn. Is this
Yes.
the first quarter? Or?
Yeah, the report is for the first
First
quarter.
quarter,
We're
okay.
in the second quarter now.
Okay.
But this will be for the first quarter. Mr. Gardner from Templeton is on his way up, and you know, it's a pretty dynamic area we live in right now. And as we try to enhance choice opportunities and keep an eye on resource stewardship, this is some really valuable information that we use and that he's got to share with you. I hear we had some technical difficulties.
Members of the board, Dr. Rogers, it's a pleasure to be here. You need another copy, or oh? Good evening. This one.
You don't have it memorized?
I do, but I thought you might want to see it. No, this is, and it is the first quarter because the data is collected through the end of March, and then it takes them about a month to process it, and then we try to schedule as quickly as we can after that. So it's all the housing. It's all kind of based on housing data. So here we are. It's a pleasure to be here once again. You know, the economy, like Dr. Coleman was saying, is very strong in Dallas-Fort Worth. We're adding over 120,000 jobs in the last 12 months. It's about 3 times the rate of the U.S. Dallas-Fort Worth is probably one of the fastest growing areas. It actually, I think, is rated as the fastest growing employment corridor right now by percent growth that there is in the U.S. Unemployment rate's extremely low, well below 5%, which used to be considered full employment. And now we're below 4% in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we're adding over 33,000 homes each year, close to 30. That's up 3,000 from a year ago, and so strong housing growth. Now, what's interesting though, and these are some new slides that you guys haven't seen before, is that Our state enrollment in Texas is not growing at the rate you might expect given the kind of employment and housing growth. We only added 40,000 students in the state of Texas last year. 3 years ago, we were adding almost 80,000 students a year. Last year, we added 40,000, and a comment on that as well. This includes charters that are, that are recognized by TEA, and charter campuses added about 24,000. So over half of that 40,000 would be considered charters. Now keep in mind, in total growth, we added probably more than 40,000, but because so many districts went negative, the ones that are shown there in like the yellow color. But just so you understand, the charters have averaged, in this time where we've been declining in total enrollment, they've stayed right around 20,000 students a year for about 4 consecutive years. It's a real challenge. Now, the flip side of that as well, Dallas-Fort Worth, the 10 and 11 regions, they added about 18,000 students last year. Now, again, that includes charters as well. So almost half of the growth in Texas is coming in Dallas-Fort Worth, but half of that as well is charters. So just to give you an idea, we are seeing strong growth in Dallas-Fort Worth in regions 10 and 11. We can see here by these are ranked, by school district here in this slide. You can see there that we're at Lewisville at number 67, but that's just based on the last couple years where we've seen some declines, and like we'll talk about later, it has very much to do with the size of your exiting and entering classes. Some schools like Carrollton Farmers Branch, Plano that you don't see on here that would be low, that are nearby Lewisville, they're very similar. They've also got that kind of that top-heavy problem where you've got large exiting classes and small incoming classes due to the birth rates that slowed down and kindergarten enrollment that declined. If we look at the housing in the area in Lewisville, we've talked about this before. The price point in Lewisville for where most of the homes are being built are in that $500,000 to $700,000 price point. That's where the majority of the homes are being built. That price point is not yielding very many students at this point. And it's also almost over 100,000 larger than what your existing housing inventory is averaging price. And that's a fairly large gap as well. I think the only other school, Frisco ISD, they have a similar gap where it's 500,000 for new homes and 380,000 for existing homes. Usually we see a gap that's closer to about 40,000, like in Prosper, Northwest, and places like that. So let's see if I got right. I don't think I have the right presentation there. I'm going to skip ahead here. What I have in mind and what you're seeing, it was a lot larger, and we kind of cut it down a little bit to make it a little bit briefer for you all here tonight. This is a ranking of new home closings. So Lewisville continues to close about 1,000 homes each year. We're starting about 1,000 homes. That trend's been pretty consistent. We've got 2,100 vacant developed lots. That's that VDL column. So we've got about 2 years' worth of growth that's already ready that they can start building on tomorrow, and another 4,864 lots that will follow that. That's future inventory, and that is just in single-family inventory. We look at new home closings. New home closings represent your growth that's going to feed into the 18-19 school year. So these are the top 10 developments, and you see that all but about 2 are on that east side. The red color represents areas that have the strongest amount of closing. Just go to new home activity. Just look at the summaries here by attendance zone. You can see that where some of the strongest growth is. Where you see color is where you see the strongest growth. Yellow is the highest activity all the way down to, I call it salmon. That salmon color is the third highest activity. But you see that most of that's going on in Indian Creek, Flower Mound, and down there in the Tom Hicks developments where we're seeing some strong growth. This growth is spread out in the district as well with smaller developments. So again, these are the districts that there's 2,100 lots available to build on. That's the green polygons, the green shapes that you see on there. And then the yellow shapes are future subdivisions. And there's, like I said, 4,800 of those. And those are the yellow polygons. But keep in mind, then we've got 1,200 where groundwork's underway. So that's like your next round. So within that 4,800, About 25% of it is being worked on to deliver more future lots that keeps the pace going. In residential activity, we've got a few slides here. This is the manors at Forest Brook. They've got 111 total lots. This price point is between $320,000 and $380,000, so that's kind of a little bit lower end, if you will, in Lewisville ISD. It's in the Sandridge Elementary Zone, and they just started home construction. This area right here, you've seen this slide before, but Essex Park is new. They've just now had a zoning request approved in February. Hamilton Park's got 104 lots, and they've now got home construction going on. And the trails at Arbor Hill are also now delivering lots. So before we showed this slide, it's got Saddle Ridge. It's got about 3 other developments right around it, but these are 3 that are actually kind of popped on that are new. And then you got the Castle Hills Southwest development that's going to be delivering lots soon. We think that they've had 27 first quarter starts, and they're in that 360 to almost 600,000 price point. So a little bit higher price point out there in Castle Hills. Villas at Southgate. There's 3 different phases here that they're delivering. The plan was approved in January of 2018, and they adjusted the total lots to 376. So just a small adjustment. And we don't know if they'll really do anything on the south side of that. What you see there might be a commercial component, but right now all the single family seems to be on the north part. And the Realm at Castle Hills, this is one they've talked about for a long time. They've got 850 future lots. They like to begin to start construction by next spring, like spring of 2019. And then the Lenox Castle Hills, they've got 430 lots, and they've got a plat approved in January, so they can start going on that very soon. A transfer report. Let me see. This tells us a little bit of a story. This is new data that's come out as well. But what's interesting is that the incoming transfers in Lewisville ISD has increased by about 72% in the last 5 years, a positive trend. We have seen a 40% increase in your outgoing transfers as well. And just like I talked about early, that's not just happening in Lewisville ISD. Charter schools, private schools are having a very large impact on campuses throughout Texas. And this is a lever report. I think we've talked about levers before. It's a different way to look at what's going on in Lewisville ISD. We've had the privilege of geocoding your students for 4 or 5 years. So now we've created what we call newcomer lever reports. And what we're doing is we're looking at students that were in the district last year but aren't in the district this year. We just use a student ID. If their student ID was in the district last year and it's not in the district this year, we consider those levers, unless, of course, they're 12th graders. And then we have newcomers as well, and that's a student ID that wasn't there last year and is there this year, with the exception of kindergarten. We don't count those because it would just kind of skew the cohort. But you can see there that we have seen a jump last year, in the net change of almost 400 students, which means we didn't get as many newcomers as we've had historically, and we had a few more leavers than we've seen historically. So that has been a change that's been going on. And this is kind of, we believe it's a result not just of charter schools, but of the price point of some of the housing. We've begun to look at some of these yields, and there's been a decline in yields in Lewisville, not just in single family, but also in multifamily. And again, it's the multifamily developments. You see that middle, right in the middle, says 0.322 multifamily yield last year in Lewisville, and then this year it was 0.307. It's a drop of just 200ths. That 200ths represents about 600 students. So that's all. It doesn't take very much. Your drop in single family yield from 0.498 to 0.478 represents about 1,600 students. So it doesn't take very much of a yield change to see, fewer students right now in Lewisville. I just kind of played around, and I thought, okay, what if we would have held the overall yield, which is combining the single family and the multifamily yields, the 3.2 and the 4, and the overall yield was like I think back in 13-14 that number was 0.46 overall yield. It's now down to 0.42. If we would have held it just at 0.45, we'd be over 55,000 students. It's just the trend is just kind of tracked down. So we're looking just for every 100th is about 1,000 students in overall yield change. So with that great news, I'm going to go to your projections. These have not changed since the fourth quarter. We usually don't adjust the projections during the year unless there's been some significant thing that would cause that. You just have to keep in mind that although we're showing a decline of over 600 students next year, you know, your 12th grade class is 800 students larger than your kindergarten class. Kindergarten has declined. We're trying to, you know, we've bumped kindergarten up a little bit for the next couple of years based on some zip code birth rates that we've seen in 2012 and 2013. Then there was a little dip, which is why in 2020 I think your kindergarten drops again a little bit before it begins to rebound. We've just seen, and we're trying to use birth rate data. We're tracking various housing yields, charters. Our team's becoming very diligent in watching where these charters are going, because they don't give you as much leeway as a regular campus might to open. They can announce something 6 months later, they can be open. It's kind of unfair. If you look at your again, these numbers have not changed. These are elementary campus numbers. You know, we've got a couple campuses that are going to have some pretty high. You know, your CAME, I think it's both CAME and Independence get pretty high when compared to their capacities, but that's out there a few years. You know, if we look at high school, you begin to see those numbers. You see where it's negative, and then it kind of gets smaller. Then by the end of this 10 years, that high school begins to show some positive change. Again, that's just your incoming and outgoing class sizes that's causing some of that change. It really is. It's just the size of those classes passing through. With that, again, you know, a strong unemployment rate. The housing market, the highest number of new home sales in Lewisville is in that 500 to 700,000. That's a very high price point. So we don't. Not only do they not appear to be, they're either don't have children, or their children are going to, you know, we think more likely, you know, charter or private schools, because those yields have just not carried, and that's not just in Lewisville. That's throughout everywhere where we've seen these $450 and up price points. And you know, and builders are actually being challenged now to go back and try to find opportunities for affordable housing. You know, and apparently affordable housing is now $250,000 to $300,000. So there's your challenge too. Again, we think that you'll be right around, you know, 50,000 students for the next couple of years. It's just going to bounce around a little bit. So much multifamily. You know, those rates fluctuate. A lot of that's a very mobile population. They're chasing that rent dollar. You know, they're looking for specials, and you know, they're not always tied to a school district, if they they can find the right opportunity. With that, I'd be happy to take questions.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. Does anyone have any questions? Ms. Hassett?
Thank you for all of the new slides with all the new data. I greatly appreciate all the new information that you provided. One thing I just thought of a minute ago was for the newcomers, is there any way we can break out our first graders from all of the others? Sometimes around the area we have students who come into us from first grade. Would there be worthy data? Just wondering if we could possibly do that, and if so, would it be worthy? If not, then don't worry about it. I'm just wondering, because sometimes that's a larger chunk out of that newcomers, and does that tell us any different data? And another thing was, after reviewing this, y'all had provided a chart to us last September on the breakdown per schools, and could y'all provide that again in September of this year, based on charter schools per campus? Thank you.
Yes, that'd be great.
Any other questions? Miller?
Yeah. Rocky, I just want to say welcome back.
Thank you.
It's good to see you again, and thank you for this analysis and the additional slides. I agree with Ms. Hassett, but just want to recognize that you're here, and we missed you.
Feel good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Rocky, I just have a quick question. Do you have any ability to do relocation, decide people moving into the area? Any data or statistics on that?
Not really. what our team's going to try to look at this year is, we have the deed transaction data that we've talked about sharing that you guys can use. What we'd like to do is we're also going to try to map the deed transaction data and then geocode students to that transaction data so that we can see if there's a student was in it before it changed hands and if there's a student in it now. We can look at things like that, but to actually look at relocation, I don't have a way to do that.
I feel
But
like
I'd love to
schools
learn
play an
that.
integral part in that, and we have a great message to share.
Yeah, that would be a really interesting
Okay,
part.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, report on updated facilities assessments document. Mr. Ball?
Thank you, Madam President. This is an annual update to our facilities assessment document that our folks in our facility services and construction department have put together. We emailed the electronic copy to the board Friday afternoon late, and hopefully you've been delivered a hard copy today as a part of your materials. And really, we don't really have a lot of comment on it other than it's completed and now ready for the board's use and analysis. And certainly, if there are any questions, we'd be happy to try to answer them. We've used the same methodology by and large that we've used in past years. We have added a couple of building systems to the mix. Mr. Hughes and Mr. Fide have felt like there are some of those additional items that needed to be analyzed to monitor, and so those are primarily the changes that have been made, and certainly we'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. Does anyone have any questions? I'd just like to say thank you so much to the Facilities Department and your team, Mr. Ball. This is a lot of work. I think you reported over 400 hours or something like that that's put into this, but it's really nice to know as a district that we have a handle on what our needs are. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kudos to
Our
the
folks
team.
have done a great job.
Yes. Okay, discussion items, monthly financial report, including the bond report and monthly investment report. Mr. Ball.
Thank you, Ms. Cox. This is the monthly report, and it's for the 8 months ended April 30th, so it's really the three-fourths point of the fiscal year, and the statements do indicate we're on track with the projections that we've provided the board about how we feel like we'll finish the year, certainly within the budget that the board has approved. We also have the investment report as of April 30th and the bond report, both for the remaining 2008 bond funds and the 2017 bond funds, and we'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have on these reports.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. Does anyone have any questions? All right. Mr. Ball, RFQ 253818, Real Estate Broker Services.
Thank you, Madam President. This item is we've looked at the property the district has and had some conversations about the merits or really seeking board input on whether or not a commercial real estate broker is needed. We've had a couple of processes where we've had a request for information. We actually had a request for qualifications and are prepared to bring that to the board in August. We kind of deferred bringing that to the board in an effort to get past the board election and realized we would have at least one new member and wanted to make sure that everyone was sort of at the same place in terms of information about where we are. And so we're certainly seeking input from the board on the real estate broker situation, and we are prepared, based on the direction of the board, to move forward with an action item in August if that's the pleasure of the board. And certainly we'd be, Mr. Martin has spearheaded the effort for the request for information as well as the request for qualifications, and hopefully we'd be happy to answer any questions the board might have, and certainly seeking input from the board on this topic.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. Does anyone have any questions or input? Mr. Miller?
Yeah, so I'm going to lean against this in August, and I'll tell you why. I think that once LISD makes it, we know which properties we have for sale. I think once people know they're for sale, we're going to have a lot of buyers. I think we can perform this function without paying 5 to 6% to a commercial broker using a lawyer. I want to really encourage us to not get boxed in. I think on some of our properties, our eyes are bigger than our stomach. The market value that we think some of them have, in order for somebody to buy those, they'd need to build $700,000 to $800,000 homes. And so I really think I don't think we need a broker to sell some of our biggest pieces of property. And the amount of money that we're going to spend with them is, I just don't think it's merited. Now, I could be convinced otherwise, and I know we'll have some other discussions, but I really think we need to take a step back on this. We're boxing ourselves in a little bit. I know that we're doing this to get some advisory, et cetera, but I think some lawyers can help us. We've got, frankly, when we look at community partnerships, we have a good number of people that I think would step up, and I know they want to be bidders on this, but if we said we're not going to use a broker, that we have some people that would give us good, sound advice on the market value of those properties and utilize them as a part of our community partnerships and not have to pay for it. We just tell them, we're not going to hire anybody, but we'd love to get your input on partnering with LISD. So those are my thoughts on how I'd position it in October or August.
Ms. Miller, anyone else? Ms. Prosnick?
I guess I'm on the wait and see plan. I want to see what the RFQ produces before I form an opinion. I want to see exactly what the real estate professionals believe they can offer us and what the cost would be. So I'm going to be very curious to see what those RFQs results are going to look like in August. I'm assuming we'll be provided with all of the results of that.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, we move into action items. Consider approval of ESC Region 19 RFP 146994, Allied States Cooperative Technology Software Services and related items. Skyward. Mr. Colbeck.
Thank you, Madam President. This is in regards to our student information system. The district started using Skyward back in 2011. We use it really as our primary system for our operations, gradebook, attendance, discipline, scheduling, online registration, all of that. And we have a lot of different stakeholders that use it. We have parents using it, students using it, teachers, and administrators, so that we have a significant amount of time and invested in maximizing our investment into that product. What we need to do is our recommendation is to continue with Skyward for one more year. So with that, our recommendation is that the board approve the current contract and the anticipated expenditures with Skyward. Any questions?
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Colbeck?
I'd just like to say comment. I have appreciated Skyward. I used it today. And when it first rolled out, I will tell you I wasn't convinced. But as you've added the new components, and today I was able to go, and as much as I hate STAR, I want to know where my child falls, and I was able to do that today. So I just want to say thank you for continuing to build on that, where I don't feel like I need to make a call to the school, that if I follow instructions correctly, that I am able to perform many functions within that system. And I just wanted to say, from a parent perspective, not so much, and a trustee perspective, that I appreciate the work that's gone into that and the ability for me to have that use at my disposal, not at somebody else's. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Colbeck, will you be adding any new features or?
Yeah, good question. We've actually have been adding a couple features. One of the elements that's going to be not really new this year, but it's new as far as being on the invoice, will be the Professional Development Center. Skyward was kind enough to include that in last year's contract. That's a pretty good tool where it allows staff to get familiar with features in Skyward. It's basically online tutorials for training. And then also we're rolling out their application programming interface, their API, that we can integrate it with other products. For example, the learning management system. So in that API, one of the nice features that we have recognized is with Canvas, that API is going to actually allow, if a teacher's grading in Canvas, it would transfer grades and other information right into the gradebook, where currently that has to be done twice. So we see that as a great addition to this year's services.
And that'll be implemented for the next school year?
It's the integration's already ready.
Great.
Yep.
Any other questions? Someone like to make a motion?
I move to approve the current contract and anticipated expenditures for school year 2018-19 with Skyward as recommended by administration.
It's a motion by Ms. Sells. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Prosnick. All in favor? 7-0, motion carries. Consider approval of CSP 254818 Dixon Sports Complex Fiber Connection Project. Mr. Colbeck.
Thank you, Madam President. This is in regards to another 2017 bond project. Specifically, it's for establishing a fiber optic connection from Marcus High School over to the Dixon Sports Complex. Currently, we do not have any communications over to that location. What we've done is we've worked with the purchasing department to secure pricing using a competitive sealed proposal process. And also, I want to point out, it's in the background item as well, the original projected cost on this is less than what the prices were that came in. However, when you look at the category in the bond program, this was under safety and security. And some of those projects were doing very well budget-wise, specifically the phone project in general. So even with the increase in the amount of money, we feel like we're still very much on track on keeping the overall projects in that category within budget. So with that, our recommendation is to approve the increased anticipated expenditures using HMI Communications.
Thank you, Mr. Colbeck. Does anyone have any questions? Someone like to make a motion?
I move to approve the increased anticipated expenditures of $112,350 with HMI Communications, LLC, as presented by administration.
Thank you. That's a motion by Ms. Prosnick. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Lazan. All in favor? That's 7-0, motion carries. Consider approval of video streaming system, TIPS 171001. Mr. Colbeck.
All right, thank you. This is an item that was presented during the May board meeting as a discussion item. And what this is it's a solution that allows us to encode basically cable distribution. So the old systems where we had coaxial in every classroom, as television has become digital, we don't have the mechanism to do that. So our current equipment that's in our data center, it's getting very aged. What we've done is we've researched different solutions out there, and I'm happy to say that we found a solution that I think gives us very good quality. We've been testing it. We're going to be able to add additional channels. Currently, we're encoding 16. We could go up to 48 if we wanted to. But the price on that equipment really has gone down from the time we were starting to put together projections in the bond program. I think originally we had $202,000. Yeah, $202,000 in this particular project. So this is coming in well underneath that, and it's going to meet the needs. The hardware and software on this has 5-year parts and warranty, so we feel like it's a solution that's going to last well within the bond program. Also, I want to point out that recognizing the project being very much under budget, one of the things that we have discussed departmentally is what is another area of need in the area of video and video encoding. And one of the items that our department has brought up is campuses do video announcements, and they have, I would say, a hodgepodge at best of equipment across the district where it becomes difficult for us to support. The quality is not the best. So one of the I guess areas that we're looking to do more research, if the board would so choose, would be to look at creating basically a kit that campuses can use for video encoding that's consistent, it's manageable, and can get good quality out to the campuses. So we feel like there'd be room in the budget to do it within this particular project. So if that's of interest to the board, we can certainly work on a solution, get campus feedback, and bring back a recommendation in the future. But on this particular item, What our recommendation is to approve the video streaming product from Data Projections, Inc. in the amount of $25,630. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Colbeck. Does anyone have any questions? All right, would someone like to make a motion?
I move to approve the video streaming system via the contract with Data Projections, Inc. and associated expenditures not to exceed $25,630 as presented by administration.
Thank you. That's a motion by Ms. Timish. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Hassett. All in favor? That's 7-0. Motion carries. Consider approval of wireless presentation tool for classroom projectors.
All right.
Mr. Colbeck.
All right, thank you.
You didn't let me finish.
This is another topic that we discussed at the May board meeting, and during the May board meeting, I mentioned this is something we've held off on until the device evaluation process was completed. What this really is gives us it's essentially Apple TVs that give us the ability to wirelessly project from the teacher device as well as student devices up to the data projector. What our goal would be to do this out over this bond program, so we'd be doing a certain number per year. This particular action item is to address what we would be doing in year one. So I'll just throw it out there right now. We'd be bringing another item back again in August or September to start getting rolling on year two right away. But this particular item is to purchase the number of Apple TVs that we'd get started on right away this summer. So our recommendation is that the board approve the expenditure using the cooperative contract with Apple in the amount of $99,979.
Thank you, Mr. Colbeck. Does anyone have any questions?
Mr. Colbeck, you just talked about this is a year one project, and then you're going to be coming back in August and September for year two. So do you, and I know I'm jumping ahead perhaps to year two, but I'm wondering, are we going to have, by this time next year, will all of the devices for year one and year two be in the classrooms? Is that the plan?
Yeah, the plan would be that by the start of school next year that we'd be caught up. We're really running from behind, and we're trying to get caught up. But our plan would be to really try to leverage our summers, which we've talked about already. But our goal would be by the start of school next summer to really be caught up with all of year one and all of year two.
And so would you be coming at this time next year for year three?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a quick question. Just what process or how are you deciding what campuses are getting projectors at what point in time during the process?
That's a good question. We have a campus list currently, and I can get that for you. I don't have it with me. I'll have to follow back up. I don't have the locations, but basically what we're trying to do is get them all done, but we got to do it in phases. Right. And what we're trying to do is put them specifically where projectors are already in. So, for example, when we do the 675 projectors, we're already going to be in those rooms, hanging the projectors, so we just want to put those in. Some of what we're going to try to focus on next would be rooms that already have ceiling-mounted projectors up. Okay. So it should be very quick, and there's zero-touch configuration, too. You just plug them in, mount them, hook them up to the projector. So it should be fairly quick. But I can get an answer for you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
I move to approve the anticipated expenditures of $99,979 for vendor Apple Inc. DIR TSO 3789 as recommended by administration.
Thank you. That's a motion by Ms. Hassett, second by Ms. Timish. All in favor? That's 7-0. Motion carries. Consider approval of audio-visual refresh project, year one projections, cooperative contract. Mr. Colbeck.
Okay, thank you. This is regarding the information item that we discussed earlier. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. I think through the information item, I covered most of it. Again, our goal is to purchase projectors for year one. We really need to get these in so that we can keep our team working on this all through the summer. Our team is, as we've been doing more and more of this work, is becoming more and more proficient. So I'm pretty confident that we're going to be able to get the 675 in before the start of school year. So With that, our goal is to have the board approve the purchases and the expenditures with CDW and Troxel for the 675 projectors and the 246 mounting kits.
Thank you, Mr. Colbeck. Does anyone have any questions? Someone like to make a motion?
I'll do it.
Ms. Lazan.
I move to approve recommended vendors, CDW Government LLC, with anticipated expenditure of $496,125, and Troxel Communications, Inc., with an anticipated expenditure of $42,588, as presented by administration.
Thank you. That's a motion by Ms. Lazan, a second by Ms. Sells. All in favor? 7-0, motion carries.
Thank you.
Consider approval of guaranteed maximum price, GMP, for 2017 bond projects, district-wide access control upgrades and exterior lighting replacements at multiple campuses. Balfour Betty. Mr. Ball.
Thank you, Madam President. This is the, as you just indicated, the guaranteed maximum price from the contractor. The construction manager at risk is Balfour Beatty. We have gone through a competitive process for all their subcontractors under the supervision of district personnel, and the $3,179 figure is the sum of all those subcontractors that we believe bring the best value to the district, plus all the other construction manager at risk fees. And so they are proposing to build these projects for us at a price not to exceed that number. And it's our recommendation that the board approve this, and we'd certainly be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. Are there any questions? Would someone like to make a motion?
I move to approve the guaranteed maximum price of $3,179,000 for the district-wide access control upgrades and exterior lighting replacements at multiple campuses. Project by Balfour Beatty, and the superintendent and chief financial officer or executive director of procurement and contracts be authorized to sign any documents to implement this action as recommended by administration.
Thank you. That's a motion by Ms. Hassett, a second by Ms. Timish. All in favor? That's 7-0. Motion carries. Consider approval of guaranteed maximum price for insurance reimbursable storm damage repair project with design work performed by Stantec, Poe Construction. Mr. Ball.
Thank you, Ms. Cox. This project is the result of the storm damage in the spring of 2017, and we've divided these projects up based on the fact that they're really too large for any one design team or contractor, and so this is the portion of it that's Pogue Construction is the construction manager at risk, and Stantec is the architect. And these are insurance reimbursable claims. We do have a replacement cost endorsement on our policy. We already have the cash in hand for the what they call the actual cash value, which is really the depreciated value. And so once we actually do these projects and get them in place, our policy contract requires that the insurance company would reimburse us for the replacement cost, and we have a $250,000 deductible on this particular policy. So ultimately, when this is all done, that should be the net cost of all this to the district. So it's our recommendation that this item be approved. The guaranteed maximum price on this portion of the work is $6,957,423, and certainly we'd be happy to address any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. Are there any questions? Would someone like to make a motion? Ms. Sells?
I move to approve the guaranteed maximum price of $6,957,423 for Phase 1 of the storm damage repair project by Pogue Construction, and that the superintendent, chief financial officer, or executive director of procurement and contracts be authorized to sign any documents to implement this action as recommended by administration.
It's a motion by Ms. Sells. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Miller. All in favor? 7-0, motion carries. Consider approval of RFQ 251717, Construction Manager at Risk Services for 2017 bond construction projects and other projects on an as-needed basis. Step 2 of Year 2 bond projects. Mr. Ball?
Thank you, Ms. Cox. This is the time where the Year 2 projects, we begin to assign the construction manager at risk firms to this. And just to refresh the board's memory, we've been through a process where we qualified 6 firms to serve as construction managers at risk. Statute limits the number of proposals that we can solicit to 5 per project. So our construction department team has gone through, and based on the strengths of each firm and their ability to do work, their capacity, if you will, decided which one to exclude from each of the projects, so that each project had 5 firms proposing on them. And you see in the tabulation of those responses, we've turned the cell green for each of the ones that we're recommending. And I believe that each of these is the low proposal and also what we believe to be the best value for the district. And so I won't read all these projects, but it's our recommendation that those that are outlined in the bid tabulation be approved by the board as the construction manager at risk for those projects, the Year 2 projects. And we'd be happy to address any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. Was that a 0.5 font in there?
It's pretty small.
Yeah. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Ball? Hey, would someone like to make a motion?
I move to approve the recommended construction manager at risk assignments for the Year 2 bond projects and the associated pre-construction and management fee expenditures as presented, and that the superintendent, chief financial officer, or executive director of procurement and contracts be authorized to sign any documents to implement this action.
Thank you, Ms. Prosnick. We have a motion by Ms. Prosnick. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Hassett. All in favor? That's 7-0. Motion carries. Consider approval of Hedrick Elementary School continued stipend. Dr. Bonner.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Cox, board members, Dr. Rogers, this item proposes additional compensation for the teachers at Hedrick Elementary School in the form of stipend to incentivize them to remain at campus next school year as the school enters its retirement phase. By way of background, that process is ongoing this year, and compensation in way of stipend will be paid in June 20 payroll period for this current school year. This item proposes doing the same at this point next year. And I'm happy to answer any questions on the content. Of course, administration does propose the approval of the item.
Does anyone have any questions? Just clarification, Dr. Bonner, that is a one-time stipend, correct? Paid at that time?
A one-time stipend, yes, ma'am. Okay. Renewed annually if you propose to do so.
Thank you. Any other questions? Someone like to make a motion? Ms. Timish?
I move to approve the Hedrick Elementary School continuity stipend as recommended by administration.
A motion by Ms. Timish. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Sells. All in favor? 7-0. Motion carries. Consider approval of granting superintendent authority to hire professional employment positions. Dr. Bonner.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Cox. This is the annual request made of the board to grant Superintendent Dr. Rogers the opportunity to hire teachers, principals, and other professional staff members in the interim period during the summer when the board does not regularly meet. It would proposes beginning this evening and would cease at the next regularly scheduled meeting in August.
Yeah, so clarification, the date in here should read June 5th, not June 7th. So.
Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Bonner? Would someone like to make a motion?
I move to grant the authority to the superintendent to hire professional employment positions effective June 5th until the next regularly scheduled board meeting in August as recommended by administration.
Thank you. That's a motion by Ms. Prosnick. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Hassett. All in favor? That's 7-0. Motion carries. Consider approval of proposed compensation and benefits plan for 2018-2019. Dr. Rogers.
Okay. Before I turn it over to Dr. Bonner, I just wanted to first off say to the board, this is as of May 24th, we've had 4 budget workshops since December, and we'll have another one later this week. So, our board has worked diligently on a tough budget. When the state requires that beginning this next year we send back $37 million, so that's a hard pill to swallow. And yet I wanted to be clear that to make sure staff knows, because I know this board has done nothing in its past except try to provide the very best. I know that myself as superintendent, I'd be requesting 10% raises if we had the funds to do it, and I know the board would want to do that. So I do want to be clear. It's administration's recommendation for a 2%, and I know that we had some discussion at the last board workshop, and I know there's going to be some more, but I did want to make that comment before we got started. So, Dr. Bonner, if you have anything else you want to add.
The only other thing I would add, as Dr. Rogers alluded to, it's a 2% salary increase that's proposed, and then additionally on the benefits, there is no proposed increase on those amounts. And certainly want to answer any questions you have.
Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Bonner? I would just like to make a comment. I want to say thank you for sending the other school districts. I feel very proud that LISD is very competitive because we want the best teachers in our district, and I feel like we're in line with the other competitive people in our area. So thank you.
Thank you
for providing that information. All right, would someone like to make a motion?
Sure.
Mr. Miller?
Ms. Cox, I move to approve a 3% salary increase at the midpoint of the respective pay grade for all eligible employees and approve the first-year teacher salary of $53,750 as recommended, not as recommended, well, the last part is recommended by staff.
Okay, that's a motion by Mr. Miller. Do we have a second? Okay. It's a second by Ms. Prosnick. Any discussion?
May I jump in for a moment, please?
Yes.
A 3% increase, the first-year teacher salary would not be $53,750. It'd actually be $54,350, and that will keep the salary ranges equivalent between teachers.
Would you repeat the number, please?
Yes, sir. It's $54,350 at the 3% increase.
Ms. Cox, I'd like to revise my motion.
Mr. Miller?
I move to approve a 3% salary increase at the midpoint of the respective pay grade for all eligible employees and approve a first-year teacher salary of $54,350.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. And Ms. Prosnick, is that a second by you? Second by Ms. Prosnick. Any discussion? Ms. Hassett?
Could you remind us the percentage point and budget implications of the proposed motion?
Yes, ma'am. A 3% increase would run an additional $10.2 million in the budget next year.
I think I'd like to make a point of clarification. I think the question is 2% to 3%, which was
I'm so sorry.
$3.X million.
I'm so sorry. So the delta between those two. I got you. Okay. Well, now I'm going to have to do a little bit of quick math. It's $3.4 million. Every additional percentage point is about $3.4 million.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Lazan?
Thank you. My personal preference for this would be to, and again, first I just want to say thank you, Dr. Bonner, for all of the information that you've provided us, and many emails went back and forth, I know, this week about different questions that we all had about this. Again, I would like to say with Dr. Rogers' comments, we would love to give salary. I think teachers deserve a whole lot more than they're paid, but hey, we do what we can. My personal preference would be to do a 2% salary increase for teachers, but then I would like to do could you remind us again, Dr. Bonner, what a 3% increase would be for paraprofessional staff?
Yes, ma'am. The item that we had discussed was a 3% raise for instructional support staff, those being the classroom aides in the campuses.
Yes, sir.
That 3%, the additional 1% would be $154,000. The 3% total would be $459,000.
No. I have to make a motion. And any other questions? All right, we have a motion by Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller.
Yeah. So I want the administration to hear my heart and my inability to articulate, which I think you know where my heart is. Here's what I know to be true. That when we budget, this is everybody that's been in finance and the board historically at LISD, we underestimate income and we overestimate expense. The second thing I know to be true is that other than this year, we have put money back in our fund balance. In fact, a substantial amount of money back in our fund balance. It's increased in the 4 years that some of us have been on the board, over $25 million. And in fact, in 15-16, when we approved a 2.5% budget increase instead of 3%, and when many of the cabinet here at the dais were not even in these positions, the sky was falling back then. You know, we put over $8 million back in the fund balance that year. And so while I appreciate the conservative posture, here's one of the things I'm struggling with. We have the financial view we had tonight. We have the adopted budget that's out on the website. We have the 3-year budget outlook we had the other day. And it's very difficult, right? It comes down to a trustee's ability to understand and ask the right questions. And here's what I'm struggling with a little bit. I think that given that we have a workshop on Thursday, honestly, and it's too late to do this, it's a bit premature. We asked for quite a few views of the budget, right? And it's a lot of work to do that. And I think that was, as you mentioned, Dr. Rogers, on 5/24 or whatever the date was. We don't have those views as to what's going to happen in the out years. As a matter of fact, if I look at the 3-year budget outlook we talked about, and by the way, I'm not off topic here because this is directly related to budget, this decision. When we look at the out years, we show in this presentation that we're sending $700,000 back to the state this year. Is that right? Okay. So we are, while we're on the verge of recapture, what we are also on is in a situation where that was not in our adopted budget. And the second thing is we're going to reduce our fund balance significantly by about 60% less than what we expected. So with that said, with the conversations around the magic pennies and the tax swap, and some of the other things that we need to look at from a programmatic perspective, honestly, there's forward projecting data that says we may send this amount of money back to the state, but honestly, I don't see us depleting our fund balance by $20 million next year and another $50 million a year after that. It just, and if we have school districts that have gone through this, that over a 3-year period they've reduced their fund balance by almost 50%, actually in 2 years, then I think that's good information. And here's the point. We're 3 days from having a lot of these discussions. We have to make a decision tonight. And so, honestly, where I'm erring on, what I'm going to err on is the side of rotate towards the staff. It's $3.3 million, and here's the deal. And we say this every year. We can't promise it next year. Just can't. Because we will be in recapture unless something changes in the state, and it's our job to advocate for that. So that's my position on it. I think it's consistent in the last 4 years. Again, I want to remind us, we are always wrong on income. Not wrong, but we project to be lower, and we say we're going to spend more, and we spend less. And quite frankly, there's always at least a $3.4 to $7 million variance in there. And so I think that, in the absence of having the meeting Thursday at this point, we should give the raise this year. And if we have to tighten the belt, there's some other things that we can do, in my opinion. We've been looking at programs for the last almost 2 years and the saturation of electives and different things, there's some other things we look at now. And I fully appreciate that staff has looked at how we could reduce headcount this year. But I think there are other things. And so is LISD, here's the thing. We heard Rocky talk about the economy's booming. And LISD is going to be sending, $90 million back to the state. Honestly, my gut tells me and my instinct tells me those two things are not going to happen, right? The economy's good. We should compensate our teachers for that. We have the money to do that, and I think Mr. Ball has always said the good news is in many of these things, we have the fund balance to buy ourselves time. We can't then turn around and say, oh, my gosh, we have less than 2 years, right? We've been talking about, in 2015-16 in our budget workshops, we talked about what it would look like in recapture to deplete our fund balance. And you know what? If we would have gone with that projection, next year we would have been at $20 million. Those are the numbers I wrote down. So I just want us to really think through it. This is not, by the way, this is not an issue of staff and somebody's made a mistake or doing anything wrong. I think that everybody's looking at this in a prudent fashion. But I'm looking at history. And history says that it's in favor of us making this decision today.
And Mr. Miller, you're absolutely right. As far as historically, there's no doubt that we're conservative on both revenues and expenditures, and we've talked about that over the past 4 meetings and so on. The difference, and I can promise you, there won't be money put back in fund balance after this next budget year. The difference is $37 million going to the state for recapture. And so, yeah, that deficit may move from $20 million deficit to 18 or 16. You're right on some of that. But I can promise you this, there won't be money going into fund balance after this next year. So that is the difference as far as from administration. So,
and Dr. Rogers, this is not meant to be argumentative. I completely agree with you. However, that's the view we have today. We've not seen the views requested that show if the governor's plan or the legislature's plan to cap property tax or property value appreciation at 2.5% or 4.5%, what those look like. What we've done today is done a projection based on the tax rolls that we've seen. That's a fair statement. But we also know that there's a political environment that's very significant right now, and we've asked for those views. And this is why it's, maybe if we would have we'd be making this decision on Thursday when we have a more holistic budget view, it would be a little bit different. But I don't disagree that we'll be sending money back to the state or not putting money in the fund balance. But again, because I know our conservative posture, I honestly, if you guys are right, then so be it. I'll say you're right as usual. I don't think we're going to send $37.4 million back to the state because we're, generally speaking, very conservative in our posture, which is not a negative.
Yeah, on the $37 million, that's calculated by the template that the state provides. So that's not numbers that we move around or massage. That's numbers that is in the template for the state. So it is a little different. But anyway, we'll move on. Good.
Ms. Hassett.
I definitely hear your heart and absolutely concur with where your heart is going. I do think this is a completely new historic era for the district. I don't think we could possibly run numbers on what Governor Abbott's plan suggests because it is very nebulous. He does say a 2.5% increase cap, but he also says to not include teacher salaries in that. So how do you really include that when you're trying to calculate those things? Those are very hard to calculate with a nebulous direction that he's provided. I think that the $37 million is a hard and fast number because of the way it's calculated by the state. These aren't based on numbers that we've created. Mr. Ball had said that we're on track to meet budget at the beginning of this year, and budget was a deficit. These are very nerve-wracking times because any staff any increase to staff is a long-term commitment. And because it's a long-term commitment, it makes me very nervous budgetarily. I don't want to start cutting other things because we're limited from what we've done now. I desperately wish we could give 10% or even more. Our teachers and staff are amazing. But I do believe that this is a historic and not in a good way position that the district is in, and we're here because of the way the state calculates our funding.
And I just wanted to add, I totally agree with Mr. Miller as far as we have time in our future to make some other adjustments, and that's the kind of things that you talked about, Mr. Miller, and certainly that's why we're putting together our community budget committee and so on, is to discuss further adjustments in the future to where we don't drain down all of our fund balance. That's not wise for us as a school district, the same way it's not wise for an individual with their savings account. But so we have some time to get the course changed, but certainly the percent of a raise is not a one-time thing, and so that's where we're looking at.
Ms. Timish.
Thank you, and I appreciate what Mr. Miller had to say, and I think that I think in our hearts we all would want to give a 3%. I think the value that we have for the teachers in this district, I mean, we all know how hard each and every one of our teachers and administrators work. I just feel like we have to be prudent and we have to be wise, because we cannot look at historical data. We cannot look back at, we've got a declining enrollment. Housing prices are going up, which means we're getting less students. We're also going to be, we are in recapture, and we cannot use our fund balance for, sustained salary increases. I don't want to be in a position where other districts on the other side of the border are looking at cutting teachers or cutting salaries. I just want to make sure that when we make this decision, that I want to make sure it doesn't impact future teachers or future salaries, because we've gotten ourselves in the rears with our funding. And so I appreciate the heart for 3%. I think we'd all want to give more, but that's just not something I feel like at this time would be wise to support.
Ms. Brosnick.
Mr. Ball, it's my understanding that staff was told 3%, and we were told 3% raises up until last week when we had our last budget meeting, that they were told about a 3% raise, and I could be incorrect on that, but that was in an email that I received earlier. Could you explain what changed going from 3% to a 2% raise?
Ms. Prosnick, I'm not aware that any employee has been told anything about, in fact, my understanding is to the contrary, that we have done some modeling. I think in one of our initial budget workshops, we provided some numbers about what a 3% salary increase would cost the district. But I'm not aware of any communications that have gone out to employees to expect one percentage or another at this point. If there has been some, I've not been involved in that.
Yeah, and Ms. Prosnick, let me, in Mr. Ball's budget preparation, he has to plug in, if you remember, there's always a page that talks about assumptions, which is just that, assumptions. And so you base assumptions on the past. And so even when we've talked about our budget woes with our staff, you have to plug in, here's what happens when you have these numbers in over a 3-year term. So, it was then before the last board workshop that we made some modifications. Mr. Ball and I have discussed it. I mean, we looked at, what would 3% look like as you go out 3 years and further. And, when you see what happens to your fund balance and, that $3.3 million difference in a percentage is, does a lot of things in the future, whether it's teachers, number of teachers, and so That's why the change was made. But we've never stood in front of people and said, hey, this is what your raise is going to be. That's not something that Mr. Ball or I decide in the first place. We make recommendations like we're doing tonight.
Mr. Miller.
I promise this is going to be my last comment on this. Dr. Rogers, I appreciate what you're saying. I think we all understand and appreciate that this is cumulative, right? That this $3.4 million is not a one-time expense. I absolutely disagree that history is not a factor here, and I disagree that it's going to be $37.4 million because it's based on a factor of property values and other things in the template. And so if those change, if they're altered, there's some factors there. The other thing is we tend to be a little bit off on federal revenues and that type of thing, and I just think the gap is not as huge. So I would say this. We have had 10 days to look at the dramatic impact of these numbers. We've had discussions about them directionally, but we've had 10 days. And so tonight we have to make a decision that is irreversible for our teachers. And so we've had 10 days and not a lot of discussion, and here we have to make a decision that, you know, is going to be one that, frankly, historically, we've made more conservative decisions, and we had the money. I get that we're going to deplete our fund balance last year. When we say we're on budget for this year, respectfully, if this was a business, we wouldn't say that, because here's the difference. We said we're going to put $8 or $9 million, take $9 million out of the fund balance. We're only going to take $2.5 or $3 million based on what we heard last week. So we're actually much better from a budgetary perspective. We're going to take less money out of the fund balance. That's a factor of 60%. So if we look at that and we look at some of the variances that happen, we will have, in my opinion, some variance. And I'm not the CPA, Mr. Ball, and this is not any disrespect to our financial staff. I just think that, again, our conservative posture, we will have the money. And so, yeah, are we going to deplete fund balance next year? Yep. We need our public to step up. We need our public to support a tax swap so that we don't send as much money back to the state. If we get the tax swap, guess what? $6-7 million a year we don't send back to the state. That's half of the raise per annum. So there are things that we can do to mitigate this that we need to move aggressively to. But again, we've only had 10 days to really look at the severity, and I'm just uncomfortable based on my, fourth year into the board that we have to be this dramatic at this point.
Any other comments? Well, I think these are tough decisions for all of us. As several of you have alluded to, we would all love to give a 10% raise. They're all very deserving, and we have the best staff and teachers. I feel like in the state of Texas, we have great teachers here. But as several of you have alluded to, we don't know what's going to happen in Austin. I mean, what we're hearing from a lot of legislators and everything is Hurricane Harvey, more unfunded mandates. And for me personally, as a board member, I think we have to be good stewards of the district funds, the taxpayer money. And it's not something I personally can support. Mr. Miller's a 3% raise. And again, I'm not saying the teachers aren't deserving, but I'm not willing to sacrifice as a board member any services for our students, any services that we can provide for our students. And so you mentioned tightening the belt. I'm not willing to do any of that and sacrifice anything for our kids. So I think a 2% raise is good, and hopefully we look at it again. But if we had a crystal ball, it'd be great that we could, decide this is what it's going to be. So we have a motion by Mr. Miller and a second by Ms. Prosnick. All in favor? It's Mr. Miller. It's one. All opposed? That's Ms. Prosnick, Ms. Hassett, Ms. Timish, Ms. Cox, Ms. Sells, Ms. Lasan. Motion fails. Do we have a motion? Would someone like to make another motion?
I'd like to make a motion. And Dr. Bonner, could you help me with the wording of because I would like to include a 3% increase for the paraprofessional staff. What would be the proper wording for that?
The 3% that has been discussed to point has been for instructional support, classroom aides.
Oh, our attorney right here.
I was going to defer to our counsel.
What do we call that class of employees?
Instructional support, classroom aides.
Instructional. That shouldn't change with the 2%, right? That's still for the teachers.
The first year teacher salary should be the same as what's on here.
First year teacher salary for 2% proposal would be $53,750.
Would you repeat that, Mr. Bonner?
Yes, ma'am. As noted on the item, it's $53,750 for the 2% recommendation.
Okay. I move to approve a 2% salary increase at the midpoint of the respective pay grade for all eligible employees, and except that I move to approve a 3% salary increase for all eligible instructional support classroom aides, and approve a first-year teacher salary of $53,750 as recommended by administration.
Thank you. It's a motion by Ms. Son. That's a second by Ms. Timish. Any
Ms.
discussion?
Cox, I'd like to make an amended motion.
And Mr. Miller?
I'd like to amend the motion to adjust the salary for regular staff to 2% and the or 2.5%, and the accommodating teachers starting first-year teacher salaries.
Okay, Mr. Miller, that's a motion by Mr. Miller for 2.5, and I'm sorry, what was the red? 3%. Okay. It's a motion by Mr. Miller. Do we have a second? No second. Motion dies. Back to the first motion of Ms. Lazan. Do we have a second by Ms. Timish? Call for the vote. All in favor? Oh, Ms. Hassett.
Could you repeat? 150,000 was the total cost of the district. If
The
154.
The additional 1% for the instructional support classroom aides is $154,000. Yes, ma'am.
And could you remind me also, the instructional aides and classroom aides, they're harder hit by the increases in the insurance?
By virtue of the raise from year to year, health benefits cost eats into that raise at a greater rate.
Proportion than it does.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Hassett, I think the rationale, and I don't want to speak for Ms. Lasan, but I think the rationale too was these are, of all of our support staff, these are probably the support staff that we have the hardest time to fill. And so I think.
I'll just also say that I have personally experienced many of these staff members, and they are a lot of times working with special ed students, and they are just invaluable to the teachers and the staff that they are supporting. And anyway, I just think they're amazing, as all our staff are. But
Thank you, Ms. Lazan. Ms. Prosnick?
Okay. All of our staff, when we were talking at the work session, we talked about that it was easier to not create 400, I'm making up a number, 450 different pay grades. This will create that. Am I correct?
No, ma'am.
No.
The way the salary is currently structured, we can apply a different percentage to these particular pay families and pay grade without impacting the overall structure.
And that will still be from the midpoint, so it is not a straight across 3% raise.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
All right, we have Mr. Miller.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that when the minutes will reflect the amended motion, but lest it appear hypocritical, I will support this item because I'm going to support a raise for teachers, and voting no would be that while I disagree with the conservative posture, and I don't disagree that we should cut back on services for our kids. I think there are areas where maybe it's not really services that are required, and that's the efficiency I'm talking about. I don't want it to be reflected that, and I don't think we disagree, Ms. Cox, that we would cut back on services for our kids. I think there's a rationalization that makes sense in that, and I hope that as we move forward, I hope Thursday we are going to see the budget views that we asked for, and 2.5% and 4% caps. While I understand, that's what we asked for. That the complexity of that, it's pretty simple to run those numbers as it relates to the value of the property taxes. So I'm just hopeful that we are going to see a very detailed set of financial models so that we can really look at this in a sophisticated way and make some decisions for next year.
Yeah, Mr. Miller, I will tell you that we do not plan to run models on hypothetical legislation that the governor or what might happen in the 86th legislature. So if there's other models that you'd like, certainly we'll run that. But what the governor's talking about now, what might happen next session, I mean, that's very difficult for us to throw a dart and hit.
And Dr. Rogers, I appreciate that. Again, not to be argumentative, but if we were a publicly traded business, we would run all kinds of financial models on projected legislation, tax laws, tariffing, those types of things. I think it's not an unreasonable task, and quite frankly, I think it's a simple variable. All I'm looking for is I think that there's a wide range of options, and while I get that it's a hypothetical legislation. Quite frankly, it's a hypothetical that tax values in the 18-19 are going to be at 9 to 12%, right? And if we want to reject history, then we wouldn't use that. So I'm surprised actually that nobody has said from the last meeting that we weren't going to get those. I think they're important and responsible and prudent models for us to review.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor, so we're going to move on. Ms. Lazan and a second by Ms. Timish.
Ms. Cox, we need to, per legal counsel, we need to amend the motion to reflect the midpoint argument. Okay. I would move to approve a 2% salary increase at the midpoint of the respective pay grade for all eligible employees, except that I move to approve a 3% salary increase at the midpoint for all eligible instructional support and classroom aides.
There's a motion by Ms. Lazan.
And, sorry. And approve a first-year teacher salary of $53,750. Boom. Done.
Motion by Ms. Lazan, and do you approve the second by Ms. Timish? All right. All in favor? Okay, that's 7-0, motion carries. Okay, consent agenda items. Are there any items that need to be pulled?
I have
2A1, and I would like to pull one. Oh, never mind, you pulled it. 2A1.
I'd like to pull 1I.
1I, okay. Anything else? Someone like to make a motion?
I move to approve the consent items as recommended by administration, with the exception of 1I and 2A1.
It's a motion by Ms. Hassett. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Timish. All in favor? 7-0, motion carries. Okay. Ms. Lazan, would you like to speak to your, would you like to make a motion to consider changes to board policy FDA regarding inter-district transfers?
Yes, I move to approve this motion, but I wanted to point out.
When you get a second, hang on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Second by Ms. Timish. Okay, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes. I just want to point out to everyone, so it's kind of more in the public eye, that this, I'm going to read a little part here from the information. This is a result of the board's desire to allow students from adjacent districts to transfer to LISD if the adjacent district allows students from LISD to transfer to that district. So this will help us maintain, this was talked about before, but I just wanted everyone to know that you can do it for real now.
Thank you, Ms. Lazan. Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Zahn, a second by Ms. Timish. All in favor? 7-0, motion carries. Ms. Prosnick, would you like to make a motion to item 2A1?
Sorry. I move that the board approve a consent item 2A1, which, is RFP 2539-18, College and Career Readiness.
That's a motion by Ms. Prosnick. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Timish. Would you like to speak to your motion, Ms. Prosnick?
Yes. I'm going to go back to the December board meeting where the board did not fund career cruising. And one of the statements made by Dr. Rapp and others was that they found that career cruising was not engaging with students. And I want to know if you looked at this particular software and found and worked on it with students to see if it was actually engaging in what they were looking at.
Thank you, Ms. Prosick. The item has not been tested with students. There are some things in the software itself that are going to be very exciting for students. The ZipRecruiter piece, the real-world application with that, the fact that we're in a mode where the college piece, the career piece, the inventories coming from the American School Counselors Association. I know there were some concerns about magicians in the previous December item. That we're going to be able to address those. So students have not seen this yet, but we feel very confident that they're going to like what they see.
Does this comply with House Bill 5?
100%. Yes, ma'am.
I actually have a few questions myself because this is an item I was going to pull. What is the time frame on this? Because honestly, I'm not comfortable making a decision on something that we've not seen. We don't know, how the program works, and we're just kind of seeing this for the first time, and it's substantially higher than career cruising. So I don't want to not support something because we need something. So what is the time frame we have to have something? This is not something we could get more information as a board.
Mr. Ball, I'm not sure you wouldn't be the one to speak to time frame. I don't want to answer inappropriately. We intend to have something prepared for when students come back to school in August.
Right, and what I can speak to is the timeline that would be involved in a procurement process. Typically, if something is available through a purchasing cooperative with which we already have a working relationship, that can be much shorter. But if we have to do an RFP, typically that's about a 60 to a 90-day process to do that. Now, if the question is when are we required to have something in place, I'm probably not the one to address that question, but it's about a 60 to a 90-day process if we have to do an RFP. If we can find something through a cooperative, all we really need there is board approval, so that could be a much shorter process.
So Ms. Crow, can you maybe answer that question? As far as timing, what we need at the campus level for kids and when?
Dr. Rogers, members of the board, good evening. Yes, we do want to have something in place when they come back to school, and I certainly want to validate your concerns about our previous software and the inconsistencies and lack of fulfillment from our students' perspective. I will tell you that we put a committee together and we reviewed all 5 of the software companies. We were able to do demos with it, and we had middle school counselors, we had high school counselors, we had our technology department and members of purchasing with us. And ashamedly, we all at some point had adolescent brains because we were very engaged with it. So one of the biggest pieces in this that I feel like would be of benefit is that college piece that career cruising did not, in fact, provide us. So as we look at strengthening the EIC changes that we made with regard to rank being posted on our transcript, this software partners with Wintergreen Orchard House, which is the largest college database in the country. And so it allows students to take things like the outcome of their interest inventories, along with what their GPA may be, along with where geographically they think they want to end up, and it puts all of that in and begins to do things for them that would be equivalent to what we were hoping would provide a playbook. And so our kids are going to be able to create these portfolios. So combined with the interest inventories and their future plans, whether it be technical school, 2-year, 4-year, it begins to create that path for them. And that was certainly something that was absent in career cruising.
So do we know other districts that are utilizing the software? And if so, have we talked to them? And
we do. So right now it's used in HEB and Carrollton Farmers Branch that are in our area. And so we've had extensive conversations with them with regard to implementation, student engagement, and what they felt like the outcomes were that were beneficial for their students.
And are there opportunities to do beta testing, or it's all in or nothing?
So this would be all in. We have had the opportunity to do a little bit of a la carte with regard to the pricing structure, and why we felt this was so cost efficient is because we don't need some of the pieces with regard to course requests that we do in Skyward. And so this product all the way around, for the benefits it would give our kiddos and the pricing structure, was the best match.
Mr. Miller.
Ms. Crowe, I'm not going to depose you, so I don't worry. Here's my concern on this. We are sole sourcing it. We had 5 vendors come in. We had some procurement there, which I respect, and some negotiation back and forth. But we have a process as a board. And this is not going to be any surprise to anybody at the dais. I am going to stick to the fidelity of that process. We have not seen this before in the amount of money. This exceeds, which I appreciate why it's coming to us, the $50,000. But, what point, if it's going from $14,000 spend to $74,000 spend, or it's $14 million to $70 million, at what point do we drift from deviate from a set of parameters here by which the board has set forth, which have jurisdiction, and we're just hearing about it. So I don't dispute that we need this and it's the right thing to do for our students. We have a process and we've deviated from it, and therefore, as a matter of principle, I'm going to oppose it.
Okay, are there any other questions? Okay. So we have a motion by Ms. Prosnick and a second by Ms. Timish. All in favor? Okay, that's Ms. Lasan, Ms. Sells, Ms. Timish, Ms. Hassett, and Ms. Prosnick. All opposed? It's Mr. Miller and Mrs. Cox. It's 5-2. Motion carries. Okay. We will now move into closed session. The next item on the agenda is to consider a Level 3 student grievance appeal. If any time the board is to hear a matter involving a student, the matter must be heard in closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 5510821. We will therefore move into closed session at this time to hear the Level 3 student grievance appeal. The time is now 9:35. We are back on record in open session, having returned from closed session. The time is now 10:35. Consider discussion or take action on all items related to the Level 3 grievance or hearing. Does any board member have a motion regarding the student grievance appeal?
Ms. Cox, I do. I move to uphold the Level 2 grievance decision of the administration.
It's a motion by Mr. Miller. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Timish. All in favor? That's 7-0. Motion carries. If there's no further business, this meeting is adjourned, and the time is now 10:36.